So today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be breaking down an AI automation that I actually built, and it's actually working for one of my clients. And this automation is one that's fully functional, and I think that you can actually build it and sell it yourself to other businesses. The automation that I'm going to be showcasing today is one that I've actually built for a client and one that I was able to charge them for, and they paid for it, which is the most important, and it's actually working for them right now and it's still live. So I'm going to be showing you the exact same automation that you can build as well and then be able to sell it and hopefully make money as well. So without further ado, as introduction, my name is Mubanga Chanda and I'm the co-founder of Pegasus AI. And at Pegasus AI, basically what we do is build and sell AI automations. I'm also running this YouTube channel just to showcase you how you can build some of these agents, be able to deploy them in real world scenarios and actually earn money from them as well. In today's automation, what I'm going to be breaking down is, and so this client works in the accounting section. So it's an accounting firm automation. And what this automation basically does is it helps the company or auditing firms rather terms with keeping track of taxation filings for companies. So what I mean by that is the main function of this automation is mainly to A, retrieve information whenever they want some details about a company. So you have this thing that's called the taxpayer registration PIN number for a company, and then you usually have employees that are listed under that company. And then when they're trying to clear and register this company for its monthly taxation or yearly taxation, what they usually do is they want to get what they call the tip-in. I don't know if it's called the same way everywhere else, but here I know it's called the tip-in, which is the taxpayer identification number. And then they use that to be able to clear the company's taxations for the month. One of the major things that this automation is actually doing is that it's retrieving those information, including the taxpayer registration number, and then it's able to provide it to them. So the platforms where these automations can actually be deployed on, or where we are deploying it on at the moment, is on WhatsApp. So we can also deploy this automation on any other platform. So for example, let's say you want to use it on Telegram or you want to use it on email. So you can use this platform anywhere that's suitable for you to have this interaction. So at the moment, we actually deploy it for a client on WhatsApp, and it's actually working for them on WhatsApp. So the second thing that this automation can actually do, or the second functionality of it, is basically it reminds them of the company deadlines. So each month, basically each company has to file tax deadline within a certain period amount of time. So for this specific automation, or I'm going to specify it based off my experience with it, is that most of the taxation companies usually have like a deadline on the 10th of each month. So from the period of the first of each month going up to the 10th, they have file returns for each company. So this automation actually helps them remind them of which company is almost due and which company they haven't filed for. So this automation basically is going to run through Airtable, because we're running it off of Airtable as well. And then once it checks the Airtable to see which companies have been filed and which companies have not been filed, it's going to send a WhatsApp message to the user, who's basically, we have one person directed to this automation whenever it comes to receiving messages. So it's going to send a reminder message to them to tell them to say company A has not been filed yet, or company B has not been filed yet. So once reminder is set, it actually gives the person that's in charge of filing those automations to actually go file for that company, because one of the most requested problems that they had was that they kept on forgetting or missing out some of the companies that were actually supposed to be filed. And then if they have a long list, like for example this client, they had over 60 clients or 60 companies registered, and then they'd miss some of those deadlines, and then they would get charged penalties after that whenever they miss a deadline. So that's the major thing that it also looks through and covers. So basically it checks if the company has been filed through the Airtable, and if it has not been filed through the Airtable, it sends a reminder to the business or the client. So another thing that this also does, it has different reminders. So each company, for example, has got different deadlines. So there's like one deadline from the first that runs from the first up to the 10th. There's one maybe on the 14th, and I think one at almost in the end of the month. And all these other taxations are different. So that means you have to set different triggers for each of these days. Yeah, so basically that's the complete run through this automation and its main functionalities. So it retrieves information from the Airtable. It sets reminders and sends reminders to the company when it comes to deadlines of each company. And when it comes to deadline for each company, reminding them clear or file returns for each company. So this is basically what the automation looks like right now. And this is actually live. As you can see, it's active. So it's actually working for the person at the moment. So really, I really don't want to change too much or like touch anything at the moment. But I'm going to show you basically how you create these automations. Basically, the first thing that we have here is a WhatsApp trigger. Basically, here is where it receives the WhatsApp message that the person wants to check for. So the person can type in the company name that's amongst their list in the Airtable because they provided us with a list of companies that they work with, and the person has to, let's say they work for Pegasus, for example. So the person has to type in Pegasus details in the chat, and I'm going to show you what that looks like as well. So the person has to type in Pegasus details in the chat. It's basically just going to come through the agent and then check in the Airtable for which company is Pegasus, and then retrieve all that information that's under Pegasus. So this is its TP number, its workers, the gross amount of each worker. It has all that information, and then it basically retrieves that and then sends to the person. So you see, it's just basically an easy to set up automation. And if you're not sure on how to set up WhatsApp on your anything automation, I do have like a full video of how to set that up, and I'll be leaving it in. I'm pretty sure maybe it's going to pop up on the screen somewhere. So make sure you watch that video on how to get your API keys from WhatsApp and then be able to connect that on anything. So basically, this is how it works. So I think we can check what's inside the agent. So what we have in the agent here is, basically this is how it works, and we have the system message here, which is basically almost like the prompt. So we spent a lot of time on this prompt because it was very difficult for us to get it to do what it was supposed to do, and we actually have um, a specific prompt guideline that I think I'll be leaving in the next video. I'm making a video soon about basically learning how to prompt, because I feel like if you know how to build AI agents, but you don't really know how to prompt AI agents, it doesn't really matter how good you are because the agent is just going to not perform how you want it to perform. So with this prompt here, I'm going to give you a quick run through. So you have the row here where you say its primary data sources from the Airtable. It should make sure it gets that information from the Airtable. You have the decision making. It should never gets to fabricate information, no records for company keeping. So you have to be kind of like really specific of what you want it to be getting and retrieving and what you want it to do. Because if you don't really do that, then it doesn't really do that. And you have the task here, which is basically retrieving tax records, updating, filing. Yeah, so whenever someone um, when they file for the company, they get to tell the agent to say, we filed for Pegasus. And then in the Airtable, we've got a trigger where it basically turns on. So that means that whenever it runs through the automation again, it's going to make sure it checks if Pegasus has been cleared through the trigger. So if the trigger is on, then it won't add Pegasus. But if it's off, it's going to send that reminder for those companies that are off currently, and generating compliance reports. So if they want a full report on the company, they can ask it on that, and then it's going to basically generate them. So this includes company records, workers records, and all those other things. So you have the tools that are being used. You have also the company name, the output. So this is how it's going to be outputting information. Then all these other things, such as the ZRA, is basically the Zambian Revenue Authority, which is basically the taxation. where basically they file all their taxing from. So each company has to or register their company to them. So you have all these other records, and specifically on updating records, inputs, and the process as well. So this is a really detailed prompt when it comes to um, how you're supposed to set it up. So I think I'll be providing you an example of this prompt and document in the community as well. So once you join the community, um, you'll be able to have access to this. Obviously, the exact same automation with the exact same prompt and the exact same information, and you'll be able to modify it and change it yourself for each company that you're going to be working for or working from. So that's what the AI agent does. And then you have basically we've got the Gemini here, which is responsible specifically for generating reports. So I think I can, yeah, check what the prompt is here. So its main function is just, as you can see, Gemini report analyst is specialized in AI sub agent within the. This is the company of the name. This is the name of the company. So this is the name of the company. Its purpose is basically to generate reports, and yeah, this also has a detailed prompt as well. So you also get to have access to this as well. Um, in the community because I'm also going to leave everything there. So you have its next step. So this basically summarizes um, this basically summarizes the company's performance based off of the Airtable every single time you want it to generate an entire report that could be for a month, that could be for an entire year. What the Gemini looks like. It's only activated once the user asks for a report. And then the Airtable here, we've got the update records here, which basically is responsible for updating the records. We've got the approval status here, which whenever it runs through the automation, and then maybe let's say the person forgot to confirm that some companies were cleared. So let's say Pegasus has been cleared or hasn't been, it has been cleared but it hasn't been marked as cleared. So once it goes through the Airtable and then it asks has Pegasus been cleared, and then the user just responds with yes, it's just basically going to come back into the Airtable and then make that correction. We've got the update company data. So this is basically if they want to, let's say, one of their companies, Pegasus. I know I'm giving a lot of examples of Pegasus, but let's say Pegasus has got a new employee, and then they want to add that information into the Airtable. They can basically just tell it what to add in, so they can list Pegasus new worker, then they add the information of the new worker just into the chat, and then the chat is just basically going to come and update that information automatically from here. So we've got search company details as well. So this is when they're looking for the details, and I think I talked about it earlier where they get to have the information of each company. So this is the keeping the worker and all this other information, while they just search for it in chat. This is basically the automation. I'm going to be heading over to another automation, which is the trigger. So you're going to see how we set trigger for this automation. And so it's called a deadline trigger, and how basically how this is set. As you can see, it has a scheduled timer here, which works or gets triggered whenever a certain period amount of time has been reached. And as you can see, we've got three directories here, which basically its main function is to search each record for a specific taxation deadline. So we have, let's say this one for example, what we call one of the deadlines, which was called the Parker deadline. So I'm pretty sure I can check here. Yeah, so it's called the Parker reminder here. This is the one of the reminders that they have each month. I think this one is dated on the 14th or the 24th. I'm not sure what exact date. Then we have the other reminders here. Then we've got the other reminder as well here, which is NAPSA. NAPSA is on the 14th. Yeah, so that means Bachelor is on the 24th. So basically, it searches through the Airtable to see if this deadline has been reached, and it also gives them how many days are left. So once it's in. So you have a switch node here, which basically just checks and then sees if it's true or not. If it's true, basically it loops over and then checks if it's true, and then if it's true, basically it sends out a message. We have a message template that's in Meta developers that I'm also going to be showing you as well what it looks like, and it basically sends a reminder on WhatsApp. So we also have this second one here, basically the same thing. It checks the Airtable for this on this day, as if it's reached, goes over and then sends the message as well. So what we have in this trigger as well. So it basically, what we have in the trigger is that it should run every single day, because like I mentioned before, from the first of each month going up to the 10th, they usually have got a deadline that they have to clear. So during that time period of time, they have to make sure that all the companies are cleared. So it basically is important for the automation to run every single day. So this is basically the overview of the automation and what it looks like. So this is basically what the automation looks like as well. So I'm going to be giving you an example of what this automation looks like inside and what it basically does. So right, so basically without showing way too much, so this is basically what the automation looks like. I don't know if I can try and increase it without exposing myself too much. Yeah, so basically this is what automation looks like inside. So you have, and then you have, let's say you say hi, for example, to the automation. So the agent basically is going to, reply and basically give you its main options of functionalities, which is basically retrieve company tax compliance records, update registration, and generate a compliance report. So let's say they want this company's details, and it's basically going to go into the Airtable, as you can see, and then it's going to basically show them what. So you have the company name right here. It gives them the company. It gives them the deadline, and then basically can see days until deadline. So days until the deadline for this specific company is, 3. It's been 3 overdue at the moment. And then is deadline passed? Basically, yes. Approval status, you have cleared, and NAPSA deadline is still just shows 1 day away. You've got this other deadline. It shows you these different things, and you have, for this company did not have, the workers and these other compliance details. So you have, that's the first one, and I'm also going to show you what another one looks like when it has those other details that it did not have. So you basically want this company's details. You want, yeah, this is an example of maybe let's say a company that isn't registered. So basically, when you search a company, for example, that doesn't exist, it's just basically going to tell you, it hasn't found any records for that company. Then once you added that same company into the Airtable, updated all this information, it's basically going to give out the information in the similar matter as that one did. And for this one, basically, you'll be able to see that underneath its workers, it's got, these are the workers that the company has, and you can see it's got 120 employees, and then each employee is basically listed in here, and it gives you, their information, their gross, yeah, basically all that information it gives you, just in case they want to make a clearance for each company. So basically, that's a quick overview of the automation and how it works. And basically, we had it deployed. I don't really want to touch it too much because it's actually a live automation. It's actually working at the moment. So I'm going to be creating a template that you can basically access, and I'll be leaving it in the community. I'm pretty sure it's live right now and it's working because we really worked on that community to basically build value based off of what we're actually doing and off of what we are actually seeing and selling. So such automations that are actually helpful to businesses, and then you can grab all that information in the community as well. You can reach out to us in there as well. I think you can schedule a call within maybe your first week of it. So feel free to reach out to me. whenever you want to know how you can build this automation further. I have a link to my Instagram, link to the community down below, and I'm also going to be leaving the link to the video where you can check how to set up your WhatsApp AI automation. But without further ado, um, thank you so much for watching all the way up to this end. If you have any questions, please do reach out. The Instagram, like I mentioned, is below, and we have a school community. Please make sure you join it because it's going to be so much value that we're going to be throwing into there. And yeah, I'm really excited for this, honestly. And we're also working on a few cool things, and hopefully you can be part of the journey as well. So thank you so much, and I'll see you guys